everybody. Um, I'm back for another review of Love and Marriage Huntsville. If you're watching this, thank you. And those of you who are new to the channel or just watching, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. There we go. All right, so we're back for another review of Love and Marriage Huntsville, New Beefcakes on the Block, Season 8, Episode 3. Okay, so I realized that Destiny was arrested a few days ago, and it just looks like forgery. I tried to give her grace with the LeBaric situation in the sense that, I mean, it's not really my space to give her grace, but if you needed a light bill paid or something like that, I felt like, okay, well, now, Destiny, if you picking up a habit, that's a problem. But nevertheless, I digress. Also, last week I went in on Sunny and her forehead and her face and her fake shit. And no, I will not be coming up on Sunny. And somebody left something in my comments. And while I appreciate people sharing, I just want to note this because somebody was like, well, can't we have a discussion without going in on people's looks? Because I said something about her forehead being big, and someone commented that, well, big foreheads are actually part of how African descended people look. And I was like, huh? Say what? Big foreheads, first of all, let me tell you something. I ain't got to be no evolutionist, no scientist. I ain't got to work in nobody's lab. That is not a thing of African descended people or European descended people, Asian descended people. Sometimes you just have a big forehead. And would I be going in on Sunny like that if she had not done the raggedy shit we've seen her do? No. Okay? And the person did compare it to their bad experience with colorism growing up, which I understand and which I actually have sympathy and empathy for. I just don't think, even though, yeah, technically we can say they're both physical things, I'm sorry, I can't say going in on you for a big forehead. Shout out to Candace Dilla Bassett who did that to Ashley a lot. I don't think that's the same as like your skin being associated with being a lesser human being. So I'm just going to say this. No, I'm not going to let up on Sunny until further notice. I'm not doing this because I'm a fan of Destiny. Honestly, this show is good to me because I ain't really on nobody's side. But I will say this. That's not the same thing for me. Okay? So anyway, so Mel and Nell meet up to do pickleball. I thought they was playing tennis. Whatever. All right. And I guess they're catching up. So Nell was all out of breath and Mel was reading the shit out of her. But, girl, let me get you some water. Act like you... That was mean, Mel. You didn't have to do that. All right. So, and trying to force water down her throat. So Mel said, how come you weren't at the podcast? All right. And she was like, I just didn't understand why y'all weren't there. She was like, Tisha, Kimmy, none of them showed up. And Nell was like, really? Anyway, and she was like, well, y'all was sold out. And Mel said, how come you didn't call me? And she was like, you called me about everything else. You called me to cry, to vent. I said, damn, Mel. And Nell said she was really thrown off because Mel was so upset about them not coming. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little thrown off too. I was. And when she did make the point, like, y'all's boss was hosting it, I thought at least they'd show up for that. Even if they didn't like her, specifically or whatever. And I guess Mel was hoping for more support. But I do think Nell made a good point in the confessional. And Nell says she thinks at the core, Mel is just really hurt because so many people have let her down over and over again and disappointed her over and over again. And I think that's true. So she could have also suspected they may have been secretly, Mel could have suspected they were secretly siding with Martell and kind of in protest just didn't come. Which would not be above any of these people. Okay? Especially not that pick-me energy of Nell. Anyway, Whether they were or weren't, I can see how somebody could think that. So, she asked Mel about Martell's arrest. Nell, I'm trying with you. I really am. Maybe not as hard as I could, but okay. Anyway, so Mel said, look, he sent me a screenshot of a private video we took and threatened to post it. Okay? And she explained how he had like crossed out his penis so he can make it look like another man. And then she was like, and there's a lot of stuff I let go. But then the side chick gets involved, talking about she's seen it, her sister seen it. First of all, and Mel said this twice, maybe 3 times on this episode. And like I said, I don't really follow this stuff outside of the show. But what kind of fucking retarded, sick, backwoods, frontwoods, fucked up shit is that to have a sex tape of the man you had a baby by when he was married to another woman or got pregnant by, whatever, when he was married to his wife who you knew, to then watch their sex tape together, and then your sister watches that? That shit is fucked up. Something is wrong with y'all. Something is really wrong. I mean, all the way left. So, anyway, so Nell then started and said, well, you know how I feel about black men going to jail. And once again, it was like when she lost me last week with that bullshit. I don't want to see a black man. Okay? And not to mention, this episode is coming on the heels of the Cassie situation. I don't give a fuck about a black motherfucker going to jail, doing that shit, traumatizing black women for the rest of their life, and oftentimes, therefore, their children, and generationally over and over again. I am done with the fuck shit. Because I was just like Mel. She couldn't get that out of her mouth good. And Mel was like, oh no, Mel was me. Well, I feel a way about black women having videos exposed to something private like their sex life, da-da-da-da. And she was absolutely right. Now, I understand now, honestly, why you feel that way about your son, and certainly people getting harsh sentences and whatnot. Is your son an abuser? Or did he get depressed and make some mistakes? And mistakes like, whatever. Having weed on him or, whatever. That's not the fucking same thing to me. And you won't need to delineate. Anyway, and I swear, black women get blamed for everything. Mel had to explain herself on this episode over and over again why she did the warrant for Martell's arrest. Martell hasn't had to really explain shit. And people have not questioned him, at least based on what we see. And all we can do is base this on what we see. And black women get blamed for everything. I am so fucking tired of it. But I'm also kind of empowered by the fact that black women have just learned to leave black men alone and leave men alone until they figure out that they can't disrespect us and treat us any old kind of fucking way. I mean, if black women have a baby out of wedlock, she's a whore. She's trying to live off the government. If she gets married and then has 4 or 5 kids with her husband, why does she have so many? And then if the marriage goes bad, how come she wasn't doing more for her man instead of just focusing on 4 human beings who are completely dependent on her? That shit pissed me the hell off. And another example, while we talking about how black women are mistreated in the spirit of Cassie, Mel, and now Jasmine Crockett, Representative Jasmine Crockett from Texas, shout out to you, sis, in Congress, has been questioned. And specifically one of the events, when she went off on Marjorie Taylor Greene. And she was on CNN being questioned about this by another black woman. And let me tell you something, baby, black girl, I can't remember what your name is, but you up here doing these white people's bidding and they will throw you away like they have thrown so many people away over the years. That is just what CNN does, regardless of race, but especially when it's race. I don't give a fuck about Don Lemon. Don Lemon had railed against black people on that fuck shit for years. That's what they had for those Pray for Don Lemon campaigns and shit. So I'm not even here for his shit. I'm just saying that's how these corporations do. And you letting yourself do them white people's bidding, and that's some weak sellout shit. But anyway, she was asking Jasmine Crockett if she regrets the words she said to Marjorie Taylor Greene now that it's played out. I said, why the fuck would she regret it? Because I'm watching this on the news. Jasmine Crockett was the victim. That white bitch started by saying your fake eyelashes are messing up your ability to read. First of all, that was not only racist, one, because she's trying to attack a black woman's eyelashes. Oh yeah, they wear all these things fake, that kind of shit. Okay? And acting like a black person didn't know how to read. Fuck you. You retarded ass inbred hoe. Anyway, and then AOC, went to bed or whatever, and she was like, she's broke decorum. No, this needs to be stricken from the record. Then she asked the chairman of the committee, Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett didn't immediately boss up on her with that weak ass shit she pulled. And Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia, okay, by the way, has also been kept off of congressional committees for this very reason. This is how she's behaved with plenty of other people. Anyway, and so Jasmine Crockett then turns to the chairman of the committee, all right, and says, well, is it I forget the term they use, an attack on personality, engaging in personalities, to call somebody a bleached blonde, bad built, butch body? Was that a violation of the rules? I said, sis, you did what the fuck you had to do. But my point is, and then on CNN, then all those people, are like, calm down. And that's a fucking macro aggression. When white people do that shit to black people are supposed to be out of order. Black people aren't supposed to have feelings. And then black people who are afraid of the stereotype of what it means to be an angry black woman, then are supposed to go in like this. Fuck that shit. It don't matter. We have behaved for centuries. We have pushed back for centuries. And it does not matter. Their racism is what needs to be fixed, not our reaction to their racism. And this black chick that's on CNN is like, well, Michelle Obama famously said, when they go low, we go high. I said, this is a horrible kind of gaslight. I mean, gaslighting is bad anyway, but this is a specific kind. Because you quoted the former first lady who happens to be African American, and therefore her words are supposed to be the subtle implication that because Jasmine Crockett is another black woman, that she should behave. Fuck Marjorie Taylor Greene. She started that shit, and as far as I'm concerned, she didn't even get what she deserved because she should have been removed from that committee for being in violation of congressional law. What the fuck? Michelle Obama ain't nobody's Jesus. So I just say that to bring it back to the fact that I'm done everybody blaming black women. And now this shit you pulled with Mel shouldn't have had to explain that fucking much to you by now. Because you see Martell show his ass enough. All right, anyway, I'm sorry your son's been in trouble, but that's not good enough for the kind of shit you throwing on Mel. Why does everybody's name rhyme or sound the same? So Nell said she's been going through some of the same stuff or whatever. So her stepdaughter Lexi, who we met for the first time, at least I did, on last season, has been giving interviews apparently and calling Nell a side chick. I didn't know that. And I'm actually kind of glad I don't keep up with this outside, because then I can still watch the show and be like, oh. So I can enjoy the ratchetness as it is. So Nell was like, when she met Fletcher, he was married. I said, wait a minute now. Oh, Nell. She said, but I didn't know that. She said, but what Lexi forgot to say is that they were separated. And that, right, that's probably true. Now, I did suspect, I knew there was a reason that girl Lexi may have been so pissed and felt isolated by her family at that family dinner, and the way everybody else seemed to kind of gang up on her is what made my, thing go. Now, I just didn't appreciate the fact that she was cursing out her daddy and then threatened to burn his house down. And see, that's the shit that got me. Okay? So Nell is basically pissed off that she was going around talking like this or whatever. And I understand that you may be pissed off. And maybe, as a kid, maybe she did find out information, thought, Nell is the one who broke up her and her father's marriage. I can totally understand how somebody may feel that way, right? And that may be the case. It may not have been the case. Because she was like, when I found out he was married, I just cut it off. Okay. But even if they were separated, I'm just saying, All right. So Mel was like, I'm sorry you're going through this. I know what it is to have this shit played out on the internet, whatever. Yes, she does. And you should be happy that she's still your friend. Anyway, so Stormy meets up with her homegirl, Latricia. Latricia is giving real, she looks like Dr. Jackie. That's the first person I thought about. So she says she's considering surrogacy because she wants another child. Stormy is talking about that. Her friend is a trainer. She's like a health nut or whatever. And her friend basically comes to her and they're just talking. She said, well, Tisha wants to train with her. She said, I train Destiny or whatever. And she said, look, I waited to text her back because I want to talk to you first. Um, because I'm not sure about y'all's friendship or whatever. And Stormy basically says, I don't have an issue with Tisha, which I didn't think she had one with her either. She has a problem with Marceau. And I have a problem with Marceau's bitch ass behavior. And Stormy called it for what it is. And Stormy not backing down from that. And honestly, she shouldn't. Okay? I don't ride for Stormy like that. But that shit she right about. And so Tisha, of course, is her husband. Why would you want to, like, you know what I mean? But I kind of respect the fact that she considers Stormy friend enough to make sure that's okay. Because I know, I guess I respect it. And then I also wonder, is that worth losing business over? But I'm kind of like this when it comes to that. Because at the same time, if I felt like there was somebody who had just done me so fucking wrong, and all of a sudden, you know, my friend is still just willing to engage with them and like hang out with them. Not hang out, but like still do business with them. To me, it would still feel kind of like, where do you stand? So I can respect it both ways. Her friend said one thing that drives her workout energy, because Stormy was asking her about it, was anger. And apparently she had a bad marriage. And you could tell even when she started talking about it, I could hear the pain in her voice. It sounded like she wanted to cry. And I'm not talking about the way she talks regularly, because I can tell she has like a different kind of voice, but like she sounded like she wanted to cry. And the impression we get based on Stormy and even based on what she was saying was that this may have been some kind of abusive. I don't know to the extent, you know, like physically, emotionally, psychologically, but she referred to him as Mr. from The Color Purple. And both of them are basically talking about the two men they have now and how calming they are and how they weren't those kind of people like that originally, but it's made their relationship better. So Courtney and Stormy, they go car shopping. They're talking about a surrogate. I wish them well, but I don't care. Moving on. So we meet Latricia and Ken at their house. They have 3 kids total. She has 2 kids, 10, 18, you know, like teenagery or, you know, prepubescent. And he has a daughter who's about to turn 13. And he said, she's not my biological daughter, but she's mine. And I like that attitude. I really do. Because he's not even with whoever that was, and he can still say that, whatever the situation is. I think I'm going to be here for them. I kind of like them so far. And they're a whole lot better than Lou and Tiffany, because I didn't like Lou and Tiffany when they showed up on my screen. So it ain't just like, oh, it's just the first episode. I didn't like them. So apparently Ken sees Marcel Maurice Martel at the gym. And I mean, Huntsville can't have that many places to go. Oh, Black or the gym. And it's just like, y'all try to show us these spots, but anyway. Okay. So, she's kept their relationship under wraps, you know, just kind of, and I can understand that because, you know, bitches be jealous. Shout out to Sonny. And then, but he was like, you know, if we decide to get married, I want everybody to notice that and the other. And I like the way they communicated and stuff like that. I thought that was nice. So, yeah. So they're supposed to be meeting up. All right. So we get Mel, Tisha, and Kimmy meeting up. So they're supposed to be catching up or whatever. Kimmy's mom, unfortunately, got diagnosed with breast cancer. Kimmy said she had surgery. She was like, you know, my mammograms came back as like triple negative. Mom's came back as triple positive, but hers was like slow growing or whatever. And or something like that. And Kimmy, we're praying for you and your mom. And I'm glad she got surgery and she seems to be, you know, on the up and up. But I know how scary that can be. And we know that Kimmy's not really one to show a lot of emotion. And seems like she's the kind of person that everybody depends on to be strong. All right? Okay. So, then they start talking about Tisha's office space. And Mel was like, oh, was that finished or whatever? And she was like, nah, not really. And Kimmy's like, I keep telling you, you can come down to the office or whatever. And but Mel said, well, she may not want to. Last time I talked, you wanted to still stay at home or whatever. And, I mean, let's talk about the fact that Tisha's office was stolen, okay, by Marceau, whose ain't shit sorry ass did that. But Tisha said she's not sure. She thought once her youngest baby was in school, she would have more time, but she doesn't because she's really involved in the school activities or whatever. Now, do I think that you can make time for your kids in a career, seeing that women do it every fucking day? Yes. But I think it's also okay for Tisha just to say, I prefer to stay home with my kids. Because I feel like Tisha, I don't know if it's because of Marceau or because of the pressure of TV and the idea that somehow her wanting to be a mother to her children feels like, oh, she's not being progressive enough and she doesn't want to be perceived that way. And to some degree, there has to be something that makes you happy. And if Tisha's happy staying at home with her kids and her husband, that's fine. I just think Tisha should get to a point where she's at peace with it instead of trying to kind of explain it away and say she's not sure. But I also find it hard to believe that Tisha went back to school for an additional master's and had those same 3 kids who are already in school, and she did it to not work. It just, I don't know. It seems strange to me. But nevertheless, so Tisha said, anyway, Tisha brought up the domestic violence situation. And she said she saw it all play out on social media. And then Mel asked her something to the effect of like, oh, you didn't ask your husband for clarity? Because he's the one who made a statement on it. I said, whoop. And we know y'all talk because he a messy, gossiping bitch. So Mel has to explain again why she signed a warrant for his arrest. Okay, you think that's not humiliating to Mel to have to even talk about a video that she made with her husband privately? And it may not be the way it once was, but it's still private. That's still going to be out there. She still has kids. The oldest one can't be no older than what, 13, 12? You know what I mean? Like, and y'all be doing low-key shit. I mean, like, real fucked up shit. And the thing is, I do, like, Mel was like, people have called me plenty of times and asked me to comment on y'all's relationship, this, that, and the other. And I just said it was none of my business. And I'm sure there is plenty of stuff Mel knows and plenty of stuff she don't. But, like, Marceau running his fucking mouth is some weak-ass shit. And I don't always blame Tisha for Marceau's behavior. And I'm not blaming her for the behavior now. But I am saying I do think that when it comes to Mel, Tisha is okay with people beating up on Mel because there's something about Mel. And this maybe, and I don't think this is just because of that event she had her escorted out of. There's something about Mel that gets under her fucking skin. And I think she either represents something antithetical to Tisha. I mean, obviously, they're not the same kind of person. Maybe somebody Tisha wants to be and is afraid to be. Or whatever it is. It's something not right. But anyway. So she has to explain the whole story all over again. So after she explains it, Kimmy was like, oh, I understand. She said, honestly, it made more sense than, or something like that, than I originally gave her credit for. And I appreciate Kimmy taking accountability like that, especially in the confessional. And basically admitting like, yeah, I had kind of jumped to conclusions. But I also feel like at times, because I like Kimmy, but I feel like Kimmy and her refusal to check Martell at reunions or at large groups, or seeming to sneak diss Mel by making, comments at times that are just in favor of Martell or give him, this space to continue doing things. It's some pick-me shit. Especially after he's called you a side chick, Kimmy. Why he had a whole side chick trying to deflect. I don't know. I just feel like that's why it seems like pick-me shit. Because I think Kimmy is smart. I think she's emotionally intelligent. And I feel like she knows better. And I realize that her and Tisha are family. But my thing is, why does Kimmy have to be dumb herself down to fit into the skies? That to me is not worth it. But nevertheless, let's go. All right. So Mel came to collect. Okay. Clearly. All right. Tisha was trying to play up all that shit. And Mel said, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Woo! She kept that same energy she had with Nell. So they didn't come to support her at the podcast. And Tisha was like, well, there's really no right time to check in. Tisha, you don't care. Okay? You don't. Kimmy was like, I called. And Mel was like, no, you texted. And she was like, no. I texted you because your voicemail was full, and I wrote you a text telling you, I'm here for you. I know it may be tough, this, that, and the other. And by the way, Mel jumped subjects at the end, just said, "Oh," I said, "Okay, Kimmy did call. Don't play, don't play, Mel. Don't pull it now. You don't get to pull it like that." Anyway, so Tisha said she didn't come because she didn't get an invite, and Mel was like, "It was a public event," and Stormy came. She didn't get an invite either. And her and Stormy are not even filming together like that. However, Mel, we not gonna act like you did not have Tisha escorted out of an event. No, she wasn't invited, but you could have let that rock. Tisha was not gonna bust no grape. You knew you did that to embarrass Tisha, and because you were mad at her. Okay, so I can totally understand why Tisha does not want to show up to any more events like that, especially if she knows the cameras are gonna be there because she's afraid to be escorted out. The problem, however, is Tisha, you have gone to other events that Mel has hosted that everybody was just kind of coming to. I'm just saying. Okay, you came to the event she hosted for Kimmy's cancer thing, not party, but like support party, or she had gotten to the end of something. I didn't mean to make it sound like that. But nevertheless, you may have traumatized Tisha. Okay. So, granted, that event was private, not public, but I still get it. So Kimmy's reasoning was that a lot of people that flock to you are mean to us, and I said, okay, we've heard this before. And Mel says, oh, the millimeters, and Kimmy said, no, people, or something like that. And then they said that the energy at the event was negative. And Mel said, well, who shared that with you? And they were like, Sunny. And Mel said, well, first of all, the energy was mostly negative pertaining to Sunny, not so much the event. And Kimmy, speaking too soon, okay, and not listening, was like, see, that means if we were there, that energy would be on us. Kimmy, what the fuck were you talking about? If y'all found out the energy was negative after the event, that still doesn't make sense as to why you didn't go. You went at a Scott family, loyalty. That's why you didn't go. So Mel explained, no, the energy was foul because they felt like Sunny was doing some messed up stuff to Destiny, and they didn't agree with that. And then Kimmy and Tisha jumped in and they were like, yeah, we don't agree with that either. That's the fucking point she was making, okay? Anyway, then she was like, well, we feel like Destiny broke girl code. And Mel was like, oh, she has a girl code? She was like, now look, I know y'all friends. She said, first of all, we were friends. And let me tell you something, a friendship breakup is hard. Because like my sister told me when I was in college, you don't get rid of friends, you just make enemies. And she was like, I don't know what Destiny does because we're not friends. When she said, well, it's not like she slept with your man. Do I think Destiny slept with Martell? No. Sorry. No, not even close. Do I see Mel having been very hurt by the fact that she feels like Destiny fucking turned her back on her and didn't support her as much privately or publicly or personally with their divorce, and wasn't a good friend to her, and is therefore willing to talk in a way that leaves that loophole? Yes. That's exactly what I think is happening. And Destiny, it ain't like you said nice things about Mel. It is what it is. Yeah. So, even though I don't think Moses is anything to be fighting over, sorry bastard, and he's inarticulate and slow, and Sunny bringing up this other stuff like, why was I supposed to stop with my generational wealth and building a family, this and the other? It really is giving, you wanted to actually have a baby soon, and he seemed convenient, close, dumb, because he is dumb, we can tell. And okay, I'll just hurry up and do something real quick and we'll get married and have a baby, and I didn't have one out of wedlock. Like, that's what it's given to me. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Once again, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye. Oh, also, something else I wanted to say. All of this questioning Mel about why she would get Martell arrested, this, that, and the other, for some shit he did. Okay? Um, we have seen where it goes when you don't believe women about abuse specifically. I think the cases for women even lying about rape, or anybody lying about rape as a crime, are like 2% or less. This has been across the years. And things like domestic violence and the shame people carry for things that are not their fault. And in the words of Janice McCullough, who I saw on TikTok, which is Bernie Mac's daughter today, she was like, the world does not hate domestic violence. This country doesn't hate domestic violence. They hate the victims of domestic violence. And so when we are seeing literally these kind of marks along the way of his behavior, and Mel is the one that has to explain herself, and instead of us taking a cue from the fact of how all those people behave toward Cassie, it's about money, it's about this, that, and the other. This is something all of those people need to really stop and think about. And the people who are kind of indifferent or just don't like Mel, and so therefore that's their attitude, fuck off. Okay, I said it, I meant it, I'm here to represent it. Anyway, I'll talk to you soon.